Keir Starmer seems keen to get Britain a bit cosy with the EU over the next few years, but can he overcome the repulsive forces that drove us apart at Brexit? Starmer is meeting the President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, this morning. Joining us now is Jill Rutter, Senior Fellow at UK in a Changing Europe. Jill, good morning to you.
Good morning, Stig.
Are we just going to be singing the same old song, which is we all want a close relationship, but it can't be so close because we can't get the benefits of being in the EU while being outside the EU, so the song remains the same, or can it change a little bit?
We'll have to see. That's the sort of interesting thing. I think they will announce some sort of agreement, at least to have talks on various sort of headings that we will see. We may see an announcement of a formal UK-EU summit sometime perhaps later this year, early next year, and agreement to sort of go on talking. There's been a lot of keenness and highlighted by the situation both in the Middle East and continuing war in Ukraine on the possibility of much closer defence and security cooperation. That was an EU ask of the Conservative government that they, I think your word was repulsed, that they weren't very keen on. Labour has said that that's one of their more urgent priorities. So I think we'll see that. The difficulty comes when you get into trade. But we know the EU wants something from the UK. They're very keen on a youth mobility deal. They want some things on fishing potentially. There are other things that we want. So there could be scope for some talking. But you're right that those red lines on the customs union, the single market, make much deeper cooperation really quite difficult.
And I guess, the frustrating thing for many people, I include myself in this, is that it just seems to be an endless parade of talking. The Brexit thing was 2016. And it always seems that the answer is, let's arrange another meeting in a year's time to do a bit more talking. And it's all very amicable, and it's probably more amicable now than it was, say, 5 years ago. But it's amazing, really, we've not got solid, concrete deals done in 8 years.
Well, Boris Johnson would probably argue that he did do a solid, concrete deal. Then he went back on his agreement on Northern Ireland, so they had to talk about that. Rishi Sunak stabilised it with the Windsor Framework, but the Labour government campaigned in the election that they were going to rectify the problems in Boris Johnson's botched Brexit deal, as they termed it. So it's not surprising they want to reopen some things. We were due, in any case, for a review of the functioning of the Trade and Cooperation Agreement in 2026. And I'm afraid one of the things that we're just discovering is that even if you're outside the EU, to sit next to your biggest trading bloc does mean that you have to be thinking about what they're doing all the time, even if you're not talking. The Canadians would say that about the US. The Swiss, who've got multiple deals with the EU, spend an awful lot of their time talking to the EU as well.
Yeah, we'll see what happens over the course of the day. Just finally, Joe, you're a very senior civil servant. Kemi Badenoch said this about civil servants at a Fringe event. She was kind of joking, but she still said it. Here are the words anyway. There are about 5 to 10% of them, civil servants, who are very, very bad, should be in prison bad, leaking official secrets, undermining their ministers, agitating. I had some of it in my department, usually union-led, but most of them actually want to do a good job, and the good ones are very frustrated by the bad ones. Are some civil servants so bad they should be in prison, or at least are there a big chunk of bad civil servants in your experience?
I think the civil service is quite weak at dealing with poor performers. So and I think civil servants themselves are the most frustrated at that. But I don't think that whatever the number is, 25,000, 50,000 people should be put in jail. We haven't got the jail places, even if we thought that. I was at Conservative Party conference. One of the questions I was asked yesterday was, would the civil service be ready to work with an incoming returning Conservative government? And I'm not sure that sort of comment is laying great groundwork for a positive working relationship if Kemi Badenoch did happen to be returned as Prime Minister one day.
Yeah, that's an interesting question, whether that's some way away at the very least. Jill, good to speak to you as ever. Thanks for joining us.